Most of us have been taught that if we just think hard enough, plan well enough, then we'll be able to shape our lives exactly as we want. But what if that is not the mind's job? So, this is the idea that I've been contemplating this week as I've been continuing to contemplate on, meditate on the Jeshua Letters. So, if you don't know, the Jeshua Letters are a channeled message from Jeshua through a guy called John Mark Harmer, JM. So, I want to take us through some passages from the Jeshua Letters and just give you my thoughts, my reflections on them, to really think about this idea of what the mind's job truly is. Okay, so the passages that I'm going to look at are in chapter 3 of the Jeshua Letters. And the first section I'll read to you is the following. Jeshua says, "Think not that you can direct the flow of your life from the viewpoint of your conscious mind. It is not designed for with that capacity, for its purpose is not found there. I would ask you to fully accept that the mind is designed to be not director, but servant. So you cannot direct the flow of your life from the viewpoint of your conscious mind." It's an interesting idea and actually goes against what we have been taught. Growing up, I fully believed that if I thought better or harder, I could work things out, I could make things right. Um, I started thinking that my thoughts to work things out were maybe better than some other people's thoughts. And I would work hard at, finding the right plans and putting in place the right things just for my benefit. But what if that isn't the true way to use the mind? And I think this is what Jeshua is getting at here. Okay. It is not designed with that capacity. Its purpose is not found there. And he asks us to fully accept that the mind is designed to be not director, but servant. And certainly, if somebody asked pretty much anyone, well, the vast majority of people, um, what part of us directs our lives, we would say it's our mind, our brain, our mental capacity. But this is saying that rather than directing, it is to serve. But then I guess the question arises, what is it serving? What is my mind supposed to serve? So Jeshua actually goes on and he says, a servant of what? Of the flow of your life, that mysterious movement of life through you. It is the movement which springs forth from the Father and is to be enacted by the Son, who participates in the atonement. So the flow of life, this mysterious movement of life through me, that is what my mind is to serve. So rather than judge what is flowing through me, critique it and resist it, my mind is to say, how can I support this flow? How can I be a part of allowing the mysterious flow of life to flow effortlessly through me? And it says here that it springs forth from the Father. So from the source, from the divine life, the true divine life. Okay. And it says it's to be enacted by the Son. And as we've heard before, Jeshua refers to the Son as, all of us united as the only begotten Son of the Father. And we are participating in the atonement, which is the at one-ment. So we are becoming the unity and the oneness by serving through our mind and through our beings the flow of life. So yeah, I find this very interesting. I find it very thought-provoking. But more than that, like it appeals to me. Like there's a way in which I can trust this flow of life to flow through me. I can bring my mind subject to it, to serve the purpose of the divine will. So Jeshua then goes on, he says, it cannot be controlled. The flow of life cannot be controlled, for the concept of control, even the need of it, is but born after entanglement in the illusion of separation. For what would you control but that which you distrust? So the flow of life cannot be controlled. And so often with our minds, we try to control what's happening in the world. But in reality, we need to let go of that desire or sense of the illusion of control and submit ourselves as servants to the flow of life from the Father. He says that idea of control is comes from this idea of separation. So we talked about that before in the early parts of the Jeshua Letters, this fact that, separation or the belief in separation is really the crux of our unhappiness and our sense of frustration in the world. The true reality is unity and is oneness. And he says, for what would you control but that which you distrust? So we don't need to control this flow of life. It is coming forth from within us. It is part of us. And we don't need to distrust it. The mind needs to let go of that distrust, release it, and then allow the flow of life. So yeah, like I think it's helpful to put our mind in a different capacity, to think about how in our day-to-day life I would use my mind to serve the flow rather than to try to work things out, control things, and create outcomes that I think are better. The flow of life is truly trustworthy and knows what's best for us, and we can embrace it as the true love from the Father and abundance from the Father that it is. So then the next part that I find interesting is like it moves on from what we've been talking about. It says the Son is one mind. So the Son, the whole only begotten sons of the Father are one mind. It responds to the impetus of the Father's thought, which is creative, and enacts this thought, creating in the express image of the Father. For image is the form of the Father's holy thought. So this is what the flow of life is about. The Father has a holy thought, and it flows into the Son, ourselves, creating an impetus which is creative. And the Son enacts that thought, creating the will of the Father. And that is a unity. That is our unity. That is the real, true unity of life that we can live within. He goes on then to say the following: the awakened Son merely enacts the movement of life, which is love proceeding from the Father for the benefit of those who remain asleep. The children of God are but in truth aspects of the only begotten Son. So if we are awakened and we are participating in the flow of life, not controlling it, not resisting it, not getting in its way, but serving the flow and the image of the thought from the Father, we enact this movement of life. We stay in the stream of the flow and we enact this movement of life without thinking, without ego getting in the way. We allow it to move and flow through us. And this is love proceeding from the Father into the world and displaying the kingdom in this world. Is like it's the illusions of the dream are dispelled and the kingdom is enacted in the world. And this is for the benefit of those who remain asleep, who are awakening. The children of God are but in truth aspects of the only begotten Son. So I find this just really fascinating and interesting and encouraging that we can be this vessel for the flow of life, for the kingdom of God, for love proceeding from the Father into this world. And it is effortless. It is a simple act of desire, intention, and allowing. All that is effortless, but our minds must let go and serve the flow of life. So then the last bit that I'll share then, he ends this section in chapter 3 as follows. Jeshua says, "You are blessed always. You need simply stretch forth your arms with palms open and uplifted, and the bounty of the Father's table shall be bestowed upon you. It is simply the allowing of recognition to be manifested." So this takes a turn, I guess. It's kind of an encouraging end that Jeshua gives to this part of the Jeshua Letters. But he's simply recognizing our place as one with the Father. And if we are one with the Father, then we are all abundance. Then we have all the Father's abundance. It is fully ours and fully here with us. It's not something we have to gain or hope for or wish for. It is the only reality. It is only illusion that says that we are separate from it. It is our minds that have decided that and insisted on this separation, that say that we are apart from it. So we simply stretch forth our arms, and the bounty of the Father's table shall be bestowed upon us. But that's the reality of who we are and where we are, what the kingdom is, and of our true place as sons of the Father. So this is simply allowing of recognition to be manifested. So yeah, I just want to encourage us, I guess, to think about how we use our minds. I've been trying to integrate this into my day to day over the past week. I've been thinking, how can I remind myself that I am not separate from the Father? And I've been seeking to use my mind differently as well to serve the flow rather than to control it. So one little activity that I'm doing is I've segmented my day into the main activities. So there's going to the gym, there's working on my business, there's socializing, predominantly in the evenings for me, obviously at the weekends as well. And it's about having simple principles that I remind myself of in those different situations. Some are common, like reminding myself that I am not separate from the Father. When conflict arises, stepping back from it and releasing the illusions. Because it is all illusion. It is an illusion of separation. And then also seeking to identify with unity. So in my business, I'm united with my customers. I'm united with, in harmony with how I communicate to get leads or attract business. And I remember that principle rather than trying to plan out, think out how best to win business or gain more customers. I recognize the reality of me being one with my business, with my customers. And then I seek the flow of life. I see what naturally flows in me and I follow that. And it's the same with socializing as well. I'm not attached or identified with past behaviors that could be seen as negative in social settings. I release that identification. I recognize that I'm in harmony with anyone I might want to socialize with, anyone I might want to integrate with or spend some time with. I am in a place of harmony. So this can become very practical. This can become practical way to live your life. And then it's about releasing the mind of separation, the ego that insists on being separate, and reclaiming that oneness, that I am oneness with the Father. And recognizing that you are perfect now. There is nothing to be achieved, nothing to be gained, nothing has ever been lost. So yeah, I choose to leave it there. I hope that today's video has encouraged you, has provoked some thought. The key thing is, how do you relate to what we've shared? What might it mean for you? What practical steps might you want to put in place to trust the divine flow, to serve it with your mind rather than try to direct and control it? So take some time, make some choices, and learn to trust this flow of life. As all it is doing is enacting the kingdom of love, unconditional love, no conditions love. Okay. So yeah, great talking to you all today. I'm Alan Bennett. I put out these videos when I feel like it, and I like to express these ideas, and I'd love to hear your thoughts if anything's come up for you. So please feel free to write in the comments. And yeah, if you want to, you can subscribe to my channel. But yeah, that's all for today. I'll catch you in the next video.